Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be a wrap up of the Venus Angelic series with one final episode. But before we dive in, I just wanted to give a quick apology for any insensitive jokes that were made in the past episodes of this series. It was never my nor anyone on my team's intentions to hurt anybody or undermine anyone's trauma or abuse, and I'm sorry if we made jokes about it or made it seem like a more lighthearted issue than it was. With all that being said, let's get into the rest of the story. This is the third episode of our Venus series, and we have already covered a ton. Fun fact, we have already combed through hundreds of pages of research, and if you've been watching as well as listening for the past two episodes, you've seen just under 1,200 screenshots. The research for the information I talk about in this video will be on screen as it was for the previous videos. I mentioned in the last two videos, but one, everything I say is alleged and speculation, and two, with my sources being primarily lolcow and kiwi farms, you have to take everything with a grain of salt, which is why I'm making sure to provide my research so you can make your own decisions without having to do hundreds of hours of research. Unfortunately, those forums are the only resources with more information than any other YouTube videos reporting on the situation, or even a few articles from media outlets that all say the same thing. If you need a little review, I put a few slides of bullet points on the screen quickly of what has been covered so far. Feel free to pause and read. As I said, this story is a roller coaster, and a tragic one at that, so get ready to feel a little sick.
Some subjects in this video may be triggering, such as EDs, narcissistic abuse, alcoholism, and sexual activity, as well as brief mention of self-harm, suicide, violence, weapons, abortion, and incest. If you think this video may trigger you, please click off or watch with caution.
We're going to jump back just a little bit from where we left off.
Manaki
and Venus are still married, and Venus has yet to openly badmouth him online. But for their whole marriage, people were pretty skeptical and very curious as to what the is going on there. A lot like Burt and Ernie's marriage. We get the idea that they may have an open marriage from the way Venus talks about their individual sex lives, such as when she posted about
Manaki
he wanting to see more boobs and butts, plus this post that says, why is it that when you're a girl and your boyfriend has epic hentai relations with another guy, you don't get jealous, but if he would do epic hentai with a girl, you get jealous? Also, let's assume that the guy your boyfriend has relations with is a trap and incredibly cute. Would you get jealous? It's pretty obvious that at the very least they are not exclusive, and Venus is not afraid to air our
Manaki
business to the world. We don't know how supportive Venus was towards him, but he and his family were very supportive towards her, as far as anyone can tell. Venus and
Manaki
he made a perplexing video opening up a giant box of treats his parents sent to them, and it was really thoughtful and generous.
Do you have a minute?
Sure.
Come on, baby.
And, happy! Thank you, Mommy and Daddy.
Okay. This support includes 2 hospital stents for stomach issues, one at the end of 2017 and one in early 2018. The first time Venus was inpatient for several days and not yet saying why. The second time she was there recovering for months. She first said that she didn't want to get too into it, but she almost was in septic shock and said that she had appendicitis. Marge is freaking out, saying that when Venus was in her care, she never had to go to the hospital, and now she's with
Manaki,
who is supposedly taking such good care of her, even though she had a sneaking suspicion that he poisoned her. She said, under my care, she was never hospitalized, never had anything on her teeth, never over or underweight, never sunburn, never glasses, etc. She had a stitch from 3-year-old when she ran into a door and fell, but just a small stitch. I called the ambulance for such a small thing, but I don't care. I carried her with sirens and lights there for a stitch. Months after she left me, already hospitalized. Margo also explains her plans to take care of Venus when she gets out of the hospital, because even though she claims Venus said she would not stop at anything till Marge was dead, it is quite bold to jump to take care of her again. I mean, she said that she doesn't miss her and she hopes to never see her again, and if she did, she would call the police. Yet here Venus is in a weakened, broken, fragile state, and Marge is ready. She said she would sue the doctor to get more jail time, and she actually was quite considerate in saying she would plan inexpensive activities for Venus that involved minimum talking from Margo. She said, "For your mental health, I will plan certain activities for you without me and without me doing much talking. Sounds mysterious, but it's safe and fun. Well, we can trust Marge because she has a totally super legit Bachelor of Science degree in psychology, even though that school she attended is a fraud and supposedly the dean was involved in a human trafficking case. But yes, Venus can trust her. Marge is pretty good at pretending to have credentials, but internet sleuths do not trust her and always dig for more information, and most of the time what they find is not in her favor. She threw herself a little ceremony and pretends to know things about stuff, and to some degree, I'm sure she does, just not a Bachelor of Science degree. There are many ways that Margaret's brain functions that I frankly cannot understand, but it's very clear that she feels she's missing something pretty significant in Venus. Obviously, her intentions and reasons for missing Venus may not be the best, but it is sad that she's so desperate and blindly hopeful. I wish that she knew how to deal with those feelings better. I've alluded a few times to Venus's eating disorder. Looking back, there were a lot of signs. I'm not sure how early people caught on, but I know her fans had suspicions because she said that her fans made her realize that she had a problem in between her hospital stays. Supposedly, the doctors denied that she had an eating disorder, but she definitely has shown patterns of disordered eating, and will later talk more about her binge eating tendencies. Back when Venus was a wee teen, she talked a lot on Tumblr and Facebook about dieting and says some things to indicate body dysmorphia. Which, by the way, remember that Marge had access to Venus's social media. So it's possible that Marge was the one writing about weight dissatisfaction as Venus, which is not better on any level because if it was written by Margaret, imagine Venus reading that. Later, Marge posts that you should be a healthy weight, not skinny, even though some people might think her healthy weight is fat, but that doesn't mean that she had the same standards for Venus. Also, to clarify, Margo herself is saying people think her healthy weight is fat. That's not my opinion. Over the years, Venus posted some fat-shaming comments about weird, funny, goofy, quirky edits when she was younger. She also posted a video about being scared of becoming fat after her first hospital stay. Before YouTube, Marge was actually working as a physical trainer and nutritionist of some sort, and she was fucking jacked, by the way, which makes the physical abuse allegations even scarier. Of course, all of this is just speculation with no verification whatsoever, just trying to give you some different views. But if Marge was really being abused by a psychotic young Venus, as she said, imagine the balls it would take to be a skinny, underfed teenager going up against your muscular mom. And if Venus is telling the truth that Marge was abusive to her, so much so that she now has a BDSM kink, think of how much force she could have. When Venus was just 15, Marge supported her diet and bought her diet pills. Someone once asked what Venus had for breakfast, and Marge answered 2 lemon slices with a Splenda and a cup of tea. Like, that's a totally normal breakfast. I'm sorry, but no, that is not a complete breakfast. That's not even a complete lemon. Have they learned nothing from cereal commercials? When Venus first moved in with
Manaki,
she gained some weight because Marge wasn't insulting her for nourishing her body, but she still never ever had much weight on her. Still, her ED and body dysmorphia got so bad in 2016 that she tried to convince over 50 doctors to give her a weight loss surgery procedure that was not legal. Venus was saying that it wasn't just about losing weight, but that she had a condition where she would never feel full.
I have gastroptosis, so I asked the doctor, how come that I have gastroptosis, but I'm still fat? They told me that I've never actually been medically fat, not even at my highest weight.
But this is not the treatment for someone her size. She finally found a quote-unquote doctor and went through with a surgery that closed off 2/3 of her stomach and attached her small intestines to the smaller portion of the stomach. Also, while he was in there, he took out her gallbladder and appendix. She made a video about her near-death experience after the weight loss surgery and just casually threw that in on a text slide as if it wasn't a big deal. I need more information, please. Man stole her organs.
Really, what counts is on the inside. You need to have beautiful organs.
Some speculate that she asked him to remove those organs so she could be smaller. Some say the doctor stole them without consent. We don't know. Why someone would want a gallbladder or especially an appendix, I surely do not want to know. It's not surprising that this doctor was shady. He performed the same surgery on a rock star and the poor guy died. The doctor was charged after Venus's surgery, but I'm almost positive that he's out of jail already. Venus told
Manaki
about the surgery while she was looking for a doctor, and he allegedly told her that if she went through with it, he wouldn't have kids with her, which I would like to assume was well-intentioned, but absolutely not the right thing to say. So, of course, Venus hid the surgery from him and everyone and only told Margo. That's how low she was. She confided in Margo, who, of course, betrays Venus immediately and tells the whole world, but I guess luckily enough, a tiny woman getting this surgery is hard to believe, even if it were coming from someone trustworthy. And while some people thought Venus had an ED, many didn't, and almost no one believed Marge. But 2 years later, whatever they used to close off a portion of her stomach started to loosen and food would fall into the pocket with no way out but up. Venus gets an infection.
And after surgery, I got post-surgery edema.
And goes to the hospital, eventually tells people what happened, and people are like, holy shit, Margo was telling the truth. Marge uses the fact that Manaki didn't know about the surgery for 2 years and didn't see the scar to try and convince everyone that they don't bang, but like literally no one else cares and everyone's just like, girl, you need to stop thinking about the banging. It's weird. Also, is that really what it's important right now? Like right now, what you would like to discuss is your theory about your hospitalized daughter's sex life. When Marge finds out Venus is so sick and in the hospital, before anyone else knew what was wrong, instead of offering real support, posts to pray for Venus, but also reminds everyone that Venus is trying to kill Marge. Plus, since this is all about Margo, she started dramatically lamenting about her own recent medical condition and how doctors told her that she's the strongest woman alive. It's fair for Marge to want to speak about her experience, and if it's happening simultaneously, it could just be a coincidence, but it does not need to be a competition. Whatever she's experiencing doesn't need to invalidate Venus's pain, but she sure tries.
Manaki.
He is upset when he first finds out about the surgery, but his family convinces him to give Venus his support. We see a bunch of Instagrams of them together, and some with Venus's friends Taylor and Mikan.
Hey guys, it's Megan.
It was a while before she told her fanbase what happened, but I'm glad that she took her time. Her video garnered a lot of attention and she briefly took it down, then re-uploaded it and asked people to watch it again, which did not sit well with some people. But when Venus came back, she had a new outlook. She spent 20 grand on surgeries and all that she got was the inability to properly process food. However, she comes back promoting body positivity. She said that she's learned through the body positive movements that she has to accept her body. She said the doctors at the hospital said that they could remove the section of her stomach that was closed off, just keeping the tiny section, or try to repair as much as possible, and she said to repair the damage and decided to keep her full stomach, which, considering all she went through, is an impressive and commendable choice. That shows some learning and some growth.
After dinner, my mom said, "Show me your stomach." And I showed her my stomach, and she said, "Are you pregnant?" I grew up a little bit focused on my outer appearance. Like, my mom checked if I'm tall enough to be a model, or we did the blood type diet where I couldn't eat like potatoes just because blood type 0. If they eat potatoes, they will get fat and short. Or as my mom said, Mexicans are fat and short because they eat a lot of corn.
Venus even vows to work towards photoshopping her photos less, and talks more positively about her appearance. She stopped weighing herself. Venus actually said something that might be helpful if you deal with disordered eating or body dysmorphia. I think it might not sit well with everyone, but I still can't see how it could be helpful.
They say you can't say I hate being fat. I think you can say I hate being fat. Because in this context, fat doesn't mean fat. It is a feeling of being uncomfortable in your own body. It is a feeling of not belonging, just trying to fit in but not getting it, and unloved, and just like you don't belong and your clothes look ugly on you, even though they look perfectly fine on you.
She's not saying that being fat means you're unloved, or if you're fat, you shouldn't feel at home in your body, but that's really not the point. There are definitely better words to be used, but I understand what she's trying to say, and she doesn't sound like her intention was to offend. It seemed like with the support from loved ones and her more positive perspective, things could turn around, but unfortunately, they don't. Venus becomes more open about her mental health struggles. She was in an extremely dark and unstable place. She posted a lot about dying. People were encouraging her to get help. Then comes the video from our last episode where Venus talks about
Manaki
and Marge and her history of abuse. from them. Venus moves out of
Manaki,
his apartment. We don't know much about her living or dating situation for a while until she posts on Instagram about a guy named Ken who she had apparently been dating, but they are now broken up. She posted some pretty serious accusations and said she's glad to be free from his abuse, and if you need to be constantly make excuses for someone's behavior, that definitely means something, no matter how much you love them. Her story says, I have so many cursed Ken stories. Let me post all the reasons why I decided to break up for good, even though he was already controlling most of my life. 1. To get an idea of what kind of level of asshole Ken is, here's the reason why I deleted the picture with the kid. The kid was his assistant's kid, who used to be his girlfriend, and he bragged about making her giving head to pictured... And he bragged about her... And he bragged about making her give head to pictured kid when it was a baby. Disturbing and kept me up some nights, mostly trying to rationalize love versus, wait, what the f***, that's illegal. A lot of why I went through this weird and not okay stuff, because I would close my eyes and say, but I love him. Bye, Ken. I'm going to live my own life without you being a psychologically and financially abusive man-child. People were like, so are you going to do something about this besides posting it on Instagram or actually do something to help the kid? And she said the police didn't want to help her, which a lot of people were quite hesitant to believe. She posted a lot of typical sad breakup posts around this time. At least I think that's what people said they were, but there were no Taylor Swift quotes to confirm. Really quick, remember Taylor and Venus from the hospital? Taylor and Venus seem to be great friends, no crazy drama, though some people thought maybe Taylor was using Venus for views. They spread apart after Taylor moved out of Japan. McCann and Venus had a cute little friendship that they often showcased online until McCann slowly began to disappear from Venus's feeds and vice versa. 2 years later, McCann makes some tweets that people assume are about Venus. It's pretty unbelievable, but you really can't put anything past the Palermos. McCann responded to a tweet that said, when did you realize your supposed homegirl actually hated you? With, when she called me, obviously without consent, while she was having sex with her sugar daddy. When I asked why, after she said, because my sugar daddy is a sadist, made me reflect on that whole friendship and realize I'd been used as a tool that whole time. Like, damn, this whole time I wasn't even a friend to you, LMAO. I was just someone you used to get what you needed when you needed it. Vile. The best part is when she tried to invite the sugar daddy to my home because I said I was concerned if he was a safe person for her to be around. Don't endanger me in the process, bestie. Someone even said, these are the stories you cannot make up. And McCann replied, it's genuinely a story I mostly keep to myself because I'm like, no one's gonna believe me, especially if they know her, haha, because we have mutuals, you know? Another person said, I would never talk to that person again, and McCann said, I did not, LOL. I swiftly cut them off, adding, you can't help those who don't want to be helped. You can't fix someone's life for them when they don't even want it fixed. Please remember this in every type of relationship you may have in your life. A viewer sees a profile on a sugar daddy / escorting site that seems to belong to Venus. Venus will say it was someone pretending to be her, but people are doubtful because the profile picture she used was first used on the escort profile and only later posted with edits on social media. It's assumed that she's escorting, though she doesn't really directly admit to it. She starts to post a lot of revealing pictures from cabs and is dressing more maturely. When someone asks why she was dressing so professionally and asked if she's an office lady, Venus said that she is getting divorced and started her own company and wants her followers to help name the company, and she said she'll be hiring. Turns out she was working for a company that already existed, not starting her own, and she will later badmouth the company on stream, and it's safe to assume that bridges were burnt. At one point, she tweeted about being suicidal and starting a live stream, manic vibes to the max, saying, in 10 minutes, I'm going to make a live stream. Had pills and I have had one 600ml bottle of wine. I want to die. Symptoms are raging and I don't know what to do. I scared all my friends away. Next victim is you. Then a little while later, she did a live stream where her assumed manager allegedly slapped her off camera. I did find the footage after a lot of digging, but it was really hard to tell definitely if I was hearing slapping, kissing, or sucking. People said that they've heard all three, but many people are very convinced that she was being slapped.
Sorry, how many sisters do you have left?
It was very hard to hear the conversation, but some people who translated what they could hear thought that he was trying to get her to stop streaming because she was a mess, but she said she had to make her manager money. She had this one fan who was just like awful, and he kept tipping her to drink, and she got drunk too fast and looked devastatingly broken. The expression on her face was really heartbreaking. The stream ended abruptly, and she later posted like nothing happened and just said she will get organized with a schedule for her streams. She also made a strange tweet saying that she likes to trick people into worrying about her, and if you're worried she did it on purpose, she said, "Sorry for a random stream. I felt a bit ill, but I'm better now. Heart. This is an apology. I'm a bit anxious and do weird things sometimes, but don't worry because there's nothing to be worried about. I like to play the victim and make people worried, so don't fall for this trap, hee heart. If you are worried you have fallen for my trap. LOL, I will post some extra smexy pics tonight." Kind of confusing, pretty up, but gee, I wonder where she learned that behavior. People are really concerned because of this whole thing, and especially that tweet makes people wonder if she's involved in some sort of sex trafficking and being pimped out and forced to do stuff against her will, but we don't have any confirmation on that, and so hoping hard that it's not true. She said herself that she wanted to be in sex work since she was a young child, so hopefully she's living out her dreams to some degree, but she has some plans up her sleeve and they're about to fall out. Venus posts a near nude on Instagram, talks about potentially starting an OnlyFans, which leads to some backlash, seemingly primarily out of concern. She got a lot of hate for a while because she was refusing to censor her videos and kept setting them to be published for kids when they certainly weren't. She no longer labels the videos for kids, plus so many people are very concerned and protective of her and have been watching her since she was a kid. But as Venus argues, there's nothing wrong with sex work and there are worse things than showing some titties on the internet. The internet loves titties. However, it's a very fine line for her to be walking with her body image and mental health issues. Sex work can be awesome, empowering, lucrative, but like many things, it can also be harmful in the wrong mental state or situation. She made an OnlyFans 3 days after posting the near nude, and she does pretty well on there, getting in the top 0.5%. I'm putting some images here where I edited clothes on her, and FYI, it's not a shame on her. I just don't want to give her nudes away for free, you know? I turned her into Velma here. She's doing well, although a lot of her subscribers get frustrated that she is teasing and not giving them their money's worth, which is a small complaint compared to when she started doing infant and child play. She made a Twitter video saying some disturbing dirty talk in a baby voice, and I can't say it, but I turned it into a Mad Lib. Play with your friends. Potentially child play came from a time when she was age regressing because she said it used to be a coping mechanism, but said it's been a while since she has age regressed. But no thank you. Like her YouTube, she posts fairly infrequently, but there are times when she stays pretty well on track. She and Marge both have potential. They have skills, are committed workers, speak several languages each, but they only seem to apply themselves in exclusively destructive ways. The concerns about sex trafficking get stronger, and there are very strong views representing both sides. But it's a bit weird that she always seems to have a manager, even though this is definitely something that she should be able to do herself. However, there's still really not much strong evidence pointing to trafficking, and it's just been people interpreting situations in various ways and trying to figure out what everything means. It's certainly possible, but there's just not anything solid to go off of to say that's for sure what's going on. Something else sort of fishy is how quickly her OnlyFans began to escalate. Venus is now often drinking during her streams, and she's looking kind of rough. People are both increasingly concerned and increasingly frustrated. I understand being frustrated when you keep putting energy into something and trying to stay positive and then not getting what you hoped for, but just a general reminder, what an This victim really needs is patience in addition to being held accountable for their actions, not just one or the other. Venus is speaking more openly about her struggles and trying to find her sense of self. She does a lot of drunk karaoke, which looks fun. At least she seems to break up with 2 or 3 managers following the Ken catastrophe and heads back to Manaki's apartment where she stayed at the start of lockdown, where she keeps posting on her OnlyFans. Some careers say, Venus is being extra unstable today, pretty worrying. She may end up killing herself. Everyone was 100% right when they said Venus didn't have the mental fortitude to be a sex worker. Now the cracks are starting to show. Meh, she posts suicide bait every other week. I guess the manic high from starting an OnlyFans account and raking in the cash is starting to wear off, so she does what she always does when she's craving a little extra attention. This bitch be cray-cray. She's seriously not well both physically and mentally. Sure, a lot of the blame for this can be placed on Margo, but she's done herself some serious damage with the binge drinking and possible drug use. She literally does not look or sound well, and if
Manaki
he is still with her, then he truly loves her and is willing to do whatever he can for her, or he's a doormat and figures that even a crazy wife is better than no wife. She posted this story saying, Achievement number 1. I had a mental breakdown behind a convenience store. Hi guys, I didn't believe you would worry this much. Okay, so basically I ended up without cash in the middle of Tokyo while being manic and have psychosis after my doctor's appointment. It's not that I don't have money, I just forgot to transfer it to my bank account. I have ADHD and bipolar. I'm okay now. The fact that I can write a story about this means I feel very okay. My friend is even going to take me to a pharmacy first thing in the morning for my prescriptions. I take up to 3 antipsychotics a day, so I will feel even better. I knew what I was doing was fucked up, but because the mania made me feel so good, I couldn't stop whatever compulsive behaviors. It feels like my body is producing coke while dissociating. She then says that she will be going to a mental hospital. However, she didn't go, and days went by without any explanation. Viewers say, if it was such an emergency, why didn't she go in right away? People speculated it had something to do with COVID, but then Venus was like, oh yeah, I skipped my appointments. But thankfully, she did end up going, and it seemed like the program really helped her. Since then, she's been doing a lot better. It's going to take her a long time to heal and get on her feet, but for the most part, she is doing better. After she got out, she said, a lot of people think that because I left my toxic environment when I was 18, I automatically became happy. But actually, I wanted to die every single day until I finally got treatment. My entire childhood, I lived in a bubble, and when I've escaped that bubble, I had to sort of live in the real world with the skills I've learned inside the bubble. Of course, it clashed. I wasn't just sad or disappointed, I had flat-out psychosis on several occasions. One I remember very vividly because it was so scary was actually happening last summer when I looked like a crackhead. I don't know what word to choose. I flat-out believed I didn't exist. Like, I had this delusion that I was dead or somehow an artifact of people's perception, but I, me, did not actually exist. This was followed by me renting a hotel room to try to kill myself in, but just ended up injured. The entire hotel chain banned me too. It's weird. I look at these things now and I can laugh about them. It's not funny, but I catch myself finding it funny. Brains are weird, they really are. Anyways, after that, I had a couple of more incidents involving handling sharp objects and glass vases while dissociating, and I was finally put into a psych ward where I got amazing treatment. I only sometimes dissociate and don't have psychosis anymore. I mostly feel calm and not anxious. The thought of wanting to die doesn't even cross my mind. My past, I'm grateful for it. Getting better is a long journey. Wherever you are, you can make it. The world is full of endless possibilities, as vast as the universe. If you've told me that several years ago, I wouldn't have believed it and instead said something like, it doesn't get better, or what doesn't kill you doesn't always make you stronger. Now I think that in order to create a new version of yourself, your old self has to reach a point of destruction sometimes. So let's love ourselves because our body and minds are doing hard work. Venus is a good example of how recovery may not be linear, but that doesn't mean she isn't trying or that she isn't making progress. One day she goes live and falls asleep eating a burger. A few days later, she goes live seeming very much composed and committed to taking care of herself. She did a live stream called Confessing Everything. Throughout the stream, I felt compelled to believe that she means what she says, but some people do not get that impression at all and said that she has a shit-eating grin on her face the whole time. Who knows, but that's not the impression I got. She does admit to being a pathological liar, so there's always a chance that she is not taking her recovery seriously and just putting on an act, but I will say this. If she isn't helping herself, she's helping others. She's lovely and encouraging to people who express the difficult situations they're in, and people have been inspired by her to get out of their shitty situations.
And I really hope that your eating disorder gets better, also your alcoholism. Both are very lethally fatal. First of all, I'm so happy for you. Woo! Because this needs to be celebrated.
She says a lot of things that sound straight out of a therapist's mouth.
The spirit that is as clear as crystal within us. You need to experience life, not just go through it. And that is normal, but it is also very toxic. Yes, I have fear, but I have courage too. I always thought I needed to work harder. What I really needed to do is to be honest with myself. Again, this is just self-pity, and we don't want to pity ourselves because that just leads to more destruction. And when I fuck up, I'll just start over with being the best version of myself I can be.
And hopefully someone needs to hear that stuff is listening. It is much more commendable to use your experience to help other people and to be honest about the fact that you're struggling than to pretend that everything is fine. In this dream, she addresses some of her resentments and frustrations. Almost each one is directly tied to a trait of former children of narcissistic parents. Again, not a doctor, can't say anything official, but I did some research and put traits of adults who grew up as kids of narcissistic parents, and if you look them over, let's just say if you were playing bingo, you win in every direction, and while that's a playful way to say it, it is actually incredibly sad how affected people are by this stuff.
To please my mother, I lied until lying became compulsive, and I ended lying to myself.
I'm really a people pleaser, so I cannot say no. And if it kills me, I can't really set like a boundary and say people know that's not okay for me.
I don't know what to do. I'm a people pleaser. How do I tell him to shut up? Yeah, everything's fine.
Like, I know I like fluffy pillows and a hot bath, but before I didn't really have a sense of self, like myself. There's a superficial Venus, but there was no Venus the person.
Getting a hobby made me feel less of a hollow shell that needs to appear on a screen, just do stuff to entertain people.
That's a lot, and those are just some of the examples in this one, and a little bit of another video. She shows many classic signs at other times, and her relationship with Margo also lines right up with explanations of the narc parent and child relationship. I won't read all these ones out, but I'll put them on the screen for you. She has previously claimed to have been diagnosed with BPD and bipolar, but in this confession stream, Venus said that the only thing she's been officially diagnosed with is ADHD, but she takes medicine, a lot of medicine, that might be prescribed to someone who has bipolar, CPTSD, or borderline. She said it makes sense though because she's told that she had ADHD in grade school, but Margaret refused treatment, so she was hopping from school to school, not knowing anyone and not even knowing the language, and trying to go through school without ADHD treatment. Oof. The one kind of weird thing with this video that does make me question her sincerity is that she kept saying that after her resentments, she would talk about her sex diary, but then she decided not to, which is fair because she talked for almost 2 hours and it was very emotional, so I get it. But then she swore that she would do the sex diary live the next day. That was July. It's December now, still has not said another word about the diary, so it makes me just a little curious.
Alright, now let's go with full storm. There's gonna be some pretty nasty stuff, especially in my sex diary. What is a sex diary? Oh, you're gonna see. Okay, that's the last page, guys. Next, we're on to the sex diary. Is anyone excited for the sex diary? So I will announce the live today, and I'll announce the live today, yeah, about the sex diary, so it will definitely happen.
Venus explains that she's aware of her issues and she's doing what she can. She takes medication, attends therapy, she has coping mechanisms. She recently has gotten very into witchcraft since she has been attending AA and needed a religion to base her recovery on. I don't know a whole lot about witchcraft as a religion, so I don't want to say so much, but it doesn't seem like she's doing anything bad that's getting her into a darker headspace. She seems more like it's keeping her occupied and on track with steps of recovery. She did get drunk after this, but that's kind of expected. We got pretty well caught up with Margaret in the last video. She made some jobs, she made it to her storage, she made a lot of enemies, and most importantly, she made some love. She's still in Europe. She still says Venus is going to kill her Except she did change her mind about one thing. Instead of being scared that
Manaki,
he is going to kill Venus, she is now certain that Venus has killed
Manaki,
Marge. Was
Manaki,
enemy number one. Obviously hated him, but now she's making some good points about Venus treating him extremely poorly and acting unappreciative of what he did for her. And his family too. Even people who are really not
Manaki,
fans from the start were feeling bad for how messed up he's got to be after all this. Someone points out that he has been the most stable person in her life, and that is saying something. Marge messages one of Mikan and Venus's friends, Apricot, saying, "Hi Apricot, I'm making a video, finally, and I don't want to make false statements. Venus lived at your place after killing
Manaki,
and deleting his accounts. Correct me please if I'm wrong." She responds, "Hi Margaret, just telling you that she didn't kill
Manaki,
He's alive and in good health." However, this does not convince Marge, who is still building her story and sucking people into this tragedy. She also seems to think that one can get away with murder in Japan by sincerely apologizing. She posted saying, "There's an ongoing speculation. Japanese police cannot do something if it's family matter. If Venus molests a child but kisses the father, then they have family matter. Unless, of course, there's an unclear death, then an investigation can start." I received Venus's email late February asking me to help her to get away with something by pledging insanity. She asked me to lie in fake documents to help her. Remember, some of the fans called me a liar for 2 years about her illegal surgery. After 2 years of public denial, she sold photos of said surgery to Daily Mail. But ever since I say the truth and warn you, and you don't want to listen, you want to feel. In the last video, I mentioned that Marge was making a tarot card deck featuring Venus, but she put a stop to the project, saying, "Many told me they feel that a tarot deck about a psychopath and her horrible actions might bring bad luck to the deck." It hit me how absolutely clear this should be. I was so focused on providing a healing experience that I haven't seen the tree from the forest. Most such inputs came after posting Venus riding a hamster, and yes, I can see that horrible actions don't deserve our love, money, effort. Some people will never change. Psychopaths have only 2 goals in life. 1, gain. 2, getting away from everything, no matter the costs that other people carry, of course. Therefore, I stopped with Kickstarter. Imagine robbing your mother, leaving her deathly sick with teratoma and gonadal torsion around a thick artery, then tell everyone mom wishes to die anyways, leaving your husband's body in Sweden after Narcon, rent a guy for meet and greet, give away his computer to Apricot, then bully your mother to distract people from the court case about your husband. Yes, sometimes I thought it would be better if she had gone, but didn't have the heart to leave her at her father's poor farm, to work after school with no opportunities, dreams, or good care. There was reasons why I had sole custody, yet sometimes I wished I hadn't taken that. However, I fulfilled my life purpose. Millions of people learned about psychopaths, masks, charm, halo effect. Also, addicts lie. That's a really basic thing to know about addicts, and psychopaths are often addicts plus pathological liars anyway. There's no collective healing, but an ongoing lesson. I have a good life and never had the need to parade around online. I won a few poetry and video competitions before, mainly to earn, as I'm very creative, so my work for Venus was a success. It's like someone just shat all over something beautiful, so no normal person wants to touch it anymore. Also, I'm a Mensa member, and therefore in the top 2%, and like to do something useful with my time. And why would I from now to forever justify myself for that I was left back to die and people laughed instead of helping? I really did everything out of my strength. With God's blessings. Thank you. And of course, she is active in various comment sections, continuing to rant and give us a combination of additional and repeated information, plus some confusing and irrelevant info. She said, "I literally say goodbye with a picture that says, 'Don't even know me since you don't know me anyways,' and people have the nerve to comment they don't recognize or know me. That's the frickin' point, genius. Just eat each other's asses as you already do. I built up a good life from zero and didn't even sold my butt. Couldn't even if I wanted to. A bursted teratoma smells horrible and gonadal torsion is the number 2 biggest pain in the world." She even commented about her affection for
Manaki,
and how ungrateful Venus was for his support. She killed
Manaki,
and continues to hurt to make me dead, but I don't give a and she's gonna die first anyways, but first let's remove her from Japan and exploiting others such as children, men, and even girls. And then she just goes on and on and on. I don't know, you can pause to read this if you're interested. Marge keeps mentioning being a member of Mensa, but she also complained so much about being homeless and poor, and she told people when you're poor you should only pay for food, yet she's paying for a freaking Mensa membership. Girl, no. So it seems that Venus killed
Manaki.
he at a convention, ditched his body, hired a body double, deleted his photos, posted only dark photos on his social media even though Manaki liked color, and asked Margaret to lie in the court and fake papers for him. The tricky thing is,
Manaki.
he was supposedly seen since her original claim that Venus killed him, but she stuck with this for a couple of years now, and it's been a while since he was last seen. Someone asked Venus what happened between them, and she said they'd make one final video together to address everything, and that never happened. Is he dead? Probably not, but people are very eager for him to show himself so we can know for sure. Venus decided to go off her medication because of side effects, but she's attending therapy weekly, and while there have been drunken streams, and she has looked a mess at times, no public breakdowns since she got out of the hospital, and recently did a very beautiful photo shoot. She is learning new things and discovering some hobbies and figuring out who she really is. Not some empty, dull version of Venus, the real Venus. She is improving her relationship with food. She said she's working to appreciate friendships more and going out to try things and making new friends. She recently put out a video of her in some beautiful location, and people were happy to see her out and about and doing some of the things that she used to love to do. No one really knows who she's with, but there's definitely a man helping her record, and let's just hope that he's a positive influence. Speaking of Venus's friendships, remember Xiao from the first video? One of the teens that Marge cyberbullied? Well, it's been just under a decade, and Marge is still not over it. She wrote a message to Xiao asking her to tell the truth about how it was really Venus, and Xiao was less than enthused. Marge also started tweeting again about Becky Cruel, another teenager that she cyberbullied. Marge's Twitter is quite interesting. She is a huge fan of Trump and a huge not fan of trans people, hates liberals, and her views on homosexuality are very unclear. She seems to think homosexuality turns on like a switch. She said that's what Freud thinks. She also said that being heterosexual is normal and made a video with a beard filter pretending to be trans. She also tweeted she is glad God made it her mission to keep our girls safe, meaning keep our girls not trans. After Lana Del Rey expressed disappointment over a celebrity supporting Trump, Marge clapped back with, Lana Del Rey sings about being a crack horse sucking wrinkly on Harleys, but that's okay because she's a liberal. Real Donald Trump addresses gold diggers who throw themselves at rich men, and Kim Kardashian is a married, hardworking woman. Moral of the story is not to count on celebrity marriages as a defense because they are unlikely to age well. She added, at least Trump grabs only what wants to be grabbed. It just means that many women let do a rich man things, aka gold diggers, at real Donald Trump said it actually quite nicely. Plus, that's honestly the only thing in his 70 years of life he can twist into outrageous behavior. I'm just speechless. Also, hilariously, she has leashes now. Take that, haters who called her a leech all these years. Now she has literal pet leeches that feed off her blood and sometimes escape their tank in the middle of the night. What silly shenanigans. She loves them with all her heart and stomach. Good for her. Really quick, just because I mentioned this last time and said I'd expand, Margo is suddenly very Jewish. She said many times in the past that she doesn't believe in religion.
Since long time I don't have a religion.
And she ran away from her religious family who was in a religious cult. And the only time that she mentioned being part of a religion is when she said that she was a Satanist. But all of a sudden she's very Jewish and doing lots of stuff at the synagogues and talking about Jewish holidays. But she does clarify that she said she's Jewish but not a Jew. She also posted a screenshot of her dad's Facebook where there is a picture of him attending a synagogue, which is implied, I guess, due to everyone wearing yarmulkes.
Yarmulke.
But it doesn't look like her dad is wearing one. We might not just be able to see it, but also Marge isn't there. She says her family's roots are in Judaism and they joined the Christian sect when she was a young girl. No one buys it. She made a website free of charge for a temple in Korea. People find two reasons that she suddenly is so Jewish. One is free food at synagogues. Two, she said that she was a Jewish refugee suffering from anti-Semitism when she was detained, and that's her story and she is sticking with it. Things are relatively calm at the moment, especially compared to how things have been over the past nearly 10 years. Regardless of personal opinion, both of these women have been through a lot. The best thing to do is to offer support and patience for both of them, provide positive reinforcement, and hold them accountable without making them feel like they're cut off forever and incapable of comeback. or just like leave them alone. I've studied these ladies for hundreds of hours over the past 2 months and I've learned a lot about them. Maybe it's just me wanting to believe the best in people, but I think deep down they're not ill-intentioned monsters. I hope they can find their way to happiness, success, and stability, even if it is without each other. There's been a lot of debate over how much abuse Venus really suffered and how much she is exaggerating, and I think it's a pretty unfair thing to speculate about her. I mean, the debates from either side are so extreme and it doesn't make sense to demonize people for having a different opinion. It's just not fair to kick Marge when she's down. Equality for all. Kick both of them while they're down. I'm kidding, but serious about the being nice to everyone's part. Plus, Marge also said that she was abused and people are brutal to her and cut her no slack just because we didn't see the abuse go down. Like, can we just agree to be nice? I don't think you should have to know about someone's level of abuse or specifics about their history or trauma to be kind and respectful to people. I would imagine it is a miserable existence to live with such anger and hatred towards your own daughter, so much so that it clouds your ability to focus on anything else. Like, that's not normal, sane behavior, but those same people that aggressively attack Marge to defend Venus excuse all of Venus's bad behavior. Okay, so the last topic is a very taboo subject that sounds like insects, but I'm not talking about bugs. I honestly don't want to speak on it because I don't feel like I have evidence to say either way, but there is some strong food for thought out there, and I would feel as though I failed at my mission if I didn't give you guys all the information. So here is a quick slideshow of screen caps. Feel free to pause them and read them and make up your own mind. Again, all speculation, not solid factual evidence. Before I end the video, I wanted to share a message from Potato who says, "Thank you all for the compliments, and yes, he is cute, and not to worry because his mom never makes him wear a collar and the picture from the last video is a few years old, but it's a great headshot." For today's eye bleach, here are some cute videos of my sweet little buddy. Thanks for watching, see you tomorrow, bye bye.